Ha! It's me, it's B-R-E-N-T. I'm Brent, your content creator for the YouTube channel PathandTarot, as well as the blog of the same name. So here we are in this long-form video that will teach you how to perform the playing card spread, opening the Devil's Triangle. There is a shorter video of this that teaches you how to perform the short version of the playing card spread, but in this video we're going to do the full spread, how it's meant to be played, and then I'll go through the entire spread with you, deciphering the meaning. So we're going to do a full reading for you as well in the video to serve as a walkthrough, basically. So we're going to go for as much memory as we have on the camera, about an hour and 20 minutes. So this will be a long form demonstration, and really we're going to get into all of it. We're going to talk about some of the influences and material I tapped into and used to come up with this playing card spread. It's been something I've been working on for quite a while in conjunction with the solo card game Beat the Devil. It taps into the rules of that solo card game and expands upon it to go into an area of divinity, a fortune telling, being able to cast a fortune through playing cards. So I've been working on this for a while, and it's finally all come together here in the articles that are on the website now and in this video. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I've shuffled these cards already, got another pair off screen, so I'm not sure what we're going to see. You know, we're going to read a fortune kind of in real time here, and we're going to see what happens. I've got the meanings of each of the cards here. It's, you know, basically a cheat sheet. It's really just keywords, and that was an intentional thing for me to write out because I think it's important as you're developing your reading skills as either a tarot reader, oracle, you know, whatever cards or devices you're using for casting your fortune. It's important to be able to develop the skill for yourself to be able to bridge together two pieces of information to create, you know, your new meaning, your new piece of information. So combining keywords to make up a new word is kind of is really what it's all about. And so I've crafted the meaning list of the playing cards in that way, so that you're not stuck with like a paragraph or written out sentence that describes the meaning of the card. It's really just phrases or words that describe what the card means. So I feel that just using the keywords will help you develop your reading skills over time. So it may seem difficult at first, or maybe vague or challenging, but as you move forward with your reading skills and being able to bridge together two keywords to form a new word that describes the relationship, you'll be able to read more cards altogether as one, a little bit more fluently. So that was partially intentional for that meaning, and you know, it was a way for me to distill down certain keywords from various sources as well too. So that was another thing. I wanted to have it really stripped down with these meanings. So all the meanings of the playing cards, again, like I said, they're in an article in the description below. They were collected from various web blogs, and I was able to tap into some direct sources as well too, which are mentioned in the article. So I was able to source out and kind of determine, you know, what fits best as these playing card meanings. So I tried to put my own words into the meanings themselves, but much of it still kind of retains from the other sources. It seems as that they were all corroborating to some degree, but there are some differences. When you do read the list yourself and compare it to, say, the minor arcana meanings, which is kind of what the playing cards are in a way. You know, they are the minor arcana of the tarot deck. There is a slightly different meanings within the cards, so you're going to notice that as a difference. So if you're using a playing card deck to practice your minor arcana, you're going to notice that there's the meanings of these cards are actually quite different. There are some similarities, of course, but keep that in mind. I think that's an interesting thing to note, because this is just 52 cards. The playing card deck is its own complete system. It's not a tarot deck, so it's actually a good thing that the playing cards have its own has its own system of meaning that's different from tarot. But there's the relationship to it, so it's great that it's able to kind of exist in between that. So that's just something to note before we get into all this. Just those kind of subtle differences that you're gonna find, if you to go and read through these meanings on the website. So again, like I said, this has been something I've been thinking about for a while, how to make a playing card spread with the Beat the Devil rules. And it seems to have come together with a combination of a book source that I have here off screen and a combination of some problem-solving rules. So I've kind of put together three different sources to create this new playing card spread. It's as original to the best of my knowledge, basically. So here it is. We'll talk about the first source, which is old style Conjure, Hoodoo, Rootwork, and Folk Magic by Starr, Casas. If you can see that there. So that book covers a lot of material, a southern of folk magic, but there is a passage in that book that describes using playing cards as fortune telling. So in that passage described a particular spread idea that I thought would be a very interesting fit, something that seemed to just match with what I've been working on with Beat the Devil and changing its rules as well. So the spread that's mentioned in that book is called the Holy Trinity Crossroads spread. That is arranged in a pyramid. So I'm going to open up these cards. I'll break the order, because I'll reshuffle them actually while I'm with you on camera. But I'll show you how that spread looks like, so that you can see where it all comes from. I'm doing this out of order, but it'll give you an idea of what it would look like in the book. So the Holy Trinity Crossroads spread, it's basically a pyramid, so it goes up and down in meaning, ending with 4 cards at the end, which is the crossroads, 4. So there's some nice symbolism built into that spread. And so this is where the form kind of takes place. This is a 10-card spread, basically. 1 card is added to each of the rows as you build up your pyramid, and you read them in a particular way. So the form is similar to that, but I felt that the rules can be potentially changed a little bit, modernized. At least the wording can be more logical, I felt. So I was able to kind of impose new meaning on these rows to create how the playing card spread reads as a fortune-telling device. So how it all turns out is this. I'll keep these cards here and I'll just rearrange them so that you see the change. So we've got the pyramid shape here. So now the pyramid becomes a triangle, 90-degree triangle, opening the Devil's Triangle. So instead of going down from rows, we now have columns of meaning, that each column has its own specific meaning that works within the playing card spread. So that's the variation, the mutation that occurred for me with this playing card spread using that source. And then I was able to, like I said, impose new rules on top of that. So I looked up George Pulya's How to Solve It from 1945, which basically lays out four rules on how to solve a problem: understanding the problem, devising a plan, carrying out the plan, looking back. Four easy steps. So I was able to take that and somewhat reword it into the context of the playing card spread and how it could help you answer the question that you're wanting to ask the cards. So let's just rearrange the cards a little bit here to demonstrate how to open the Devil's Triangle. So just like the Holy Trinity Crossroads spread of Starr Casas, you have two versions of it. One, the sort of the pyramid right side up, and then upside down. So again, this spread reflects the symmetry of that. So now we would have two spreads where this is opening the Devil's Triangle, where we're going from one card up to 4. So we're expanding to have a better understanding of something we want to ask. And then we have closing the Devil's Triangle to take a more complex question and simplify it down to a final answer. So we've got two different versions of the spread that can help you answer your fortune-telling question in different ways. So if you were closing the Devil's Triangle and you're dealing with a problem that's maybe more complex, maybe you've been thinking about it for a while, it's something that you know a lot about already, but you're stuck with it and you want to simplify that and try to kind of get some closure on it. Closing the Devil's Spread is where you would probably want to start, where you're taking your experience of what you've done already, right? Looking back, what is the result of knowing the result of what you've done already? What can I do to simplify what I know? Carrying out the plan, what will help me move to a clear understanding of the problem? Devising a plan, what is required to move to a solution, and understanding the problem. So this is where you end up, basically. So as you can see, there's two forms of it, and if you were opening the Devil's Spread, it would go like this. You would start understanding the problem. This represents you. This card is a representation of what it is you're wanting to know, the situation at hand. Devising a plan, what steps are required to move forward to the solution. Carrying out the plan, what is needed to help you execute the steps. And then finally, looking back, what is the result of having executed all these steps? Where does it leave you now? So this provides you with a final answer and basically an expanded answer on where you started off with. So this would be for knowing more about something that you're not clear on, that you need expansion on. So you would use these two different forms of the spread to make that work for you. Okay, so that is what the form looks like, and then I'll reiterate again how those rows, or sort of those columns, work and what they mean. And we're going to perform the spread with you, and we're going to launch right into the full reading. So what I did for you there was just draw cards and arrange them in the shape of how the spread works. You're always drawing cards upwards in either closing or opening or closing the Devil. Now what we're going to do next is I'm going to explain how the rules of Beat the Devil are incorporated into this playing card spread. So we have 10 cards, so that makes 10 piles to work with. Now if you're familiar with Beat the Devil and its rules, you know already that you have 8 piles to work with, and you have to use all the 8 piles and use up all the cards to beat the Devil, and you're matching cards on each of the piles, and you a draw card onto the pile to keep going, and then you make more. You make moves on top of that. If you can't make a match, you draw another card into opening up a new pile. And so if you have no more piles, you lose if you haven't used up the cards. So deceptively simple, but incredibly difficult to beat consistently. It's a very tough game to play. You'll find that it takes like 10 games to win one. So the game really has about a 9 to 12% chance of winning at any given time. But the odds of that do fluctuate, of course. But that's just generally what you could expect with playing Beat the Devil in its original rules. Now, in this case, we've expanded the rules a bit so that we have 10 piles. So when we have more piles to play with, the odds of winning are a lot better. You can win more often. So this is where the Beat the Devil adds a subtle layer of divinity across the cards in the playing card spread. Beating the Devil, which can happen more often, will give you a good sign. You could treat it in a number of different ways. Use your intuition to know if that would mean maybe all the cards are all truthful. Maybe the outcome will be good, anything along those lines. It's sort of open-ended, but if you beat the devil, it's a positive message for the whole spread and the meaning of the reading. If you don't beat the devil, it's not a positive message. So it could mean that the message is incomplete, or that something negative could happen. Something along those lines. So you get to treat the winning or losing of beating the devil as this subtle layer that go on top of the cards. So doing it the quick way, like I described in the previous video, you're just drawing cards out without using these beat the devil rules. So you miss out on that extra layer of fortune telling, which I think is quite valuable, because it can give you a deeper understanding to all of the cards. Because really in the end, you're not focusing on just one or two cards. You're focusing on all the cards and how they relate to each other and how their meanings connect. That's really what it's all about. So I think that is a pretty good shuffle. So we're going to walk through and do a full spread. I'm going to open the Devil's Triangle, and then we'll close the Devil's Triangle. And I've got the meaning of the playing cards right here, and I'm just going to write off screen what I want to find out from these cards. But maybe you can put some of your intention into this video as well, to focus on these cards right here. Just focus your intention to this while I write something down, because this could be cool, because it could come true. All right. Show me what it takes to give a good reading to these kind people on the internet and YouTube. That is my question to open the Devil's Triangle with. So here we go. So you should already be familiar with the form of what we'll take. We're going to be building a triangle upwards like this, with 1 card, 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. We're drawing upwards to make the triangle. So we've got 10 piles. How it's going to work is I'm going to draw a card, and I'm going to draw the next card right beside it. If they match, I would draw a card onto each of the cards, and I would keep going. If those cards match, I would draw a card onto each of it, and if it doesn't match, then I just draw another card into the available pile. And I keep doing that until I run out of piles, or run out of cards. If I run out of cards, I win. If I've used up all the piles and I can't make any other moves, I lose. So that is the quick description of the rules, and we'll go through it right now, and I'll keep walking you through so that you're with me every step of the way. So here we go. So show me what it takes to give a good reading. So there's the first card. Here is the second card. And they don't match. So we'll draw the next card up here. And they don't match either, so we'll draw the fourth card here. And they don't match either, so we're going to draw the next card here. So finally we got our first match, so we know what happens. We just draw a card onto each of the pairs. And there we go. So that doesn't give us with any matches. So we draw another card. And we've got our next match, 2 10s. So we just draw a card on top of it. So now we got another match. So we can't draw into these piles until I've resolved all possible matches. That's part of the rules of Beat the Devil, and that's how this spread works too. So I couldn't draw into this pile until I resolve these pairs. So I'm going to draw into the pairs like that. And so now I can't do anything else, and I then draw another card into the next pile as we build this up here. And this gives us our next match. I'm going to stop real quick here. We've got only 3 piles left and quite a bit of cards to go. So we may not beat the devil here, but if we get close to beating the devil, all we have to do is just make sure we have enough cards left to fill the remaining piles. So as you're working through the cards, it's easy to tell. You just look at what's on the table, how many moves can you make, and then you resolve whatever moves you can, leaving as many cards as you need to fill out the rest of the triangle. So that's how that would work when you're about to beat the devil. So we've got the 2 3s to resolve here, and then we've got 3 more piles to work with if we run into a difficulty here. So let's get back to it. So we've got a 6, then our ace, ace of spades. These are Maverick cards, by the way. If you can, I'll just flip that up around so you can see the United States Playing Card Company, Maverick. Great cards. I like these a lot. They feel quite nice, and they feel great on the table. Okay, so that's enough of a quick interlude. So we got to keep going. So, no matches. 5. Okay. So we are probably not gonna beat the devil, but that's okay, because this is good. This is actually probably what we need as an answer to actually show how to do a reading with this information. So okay, great. So 8, yeah, nothing to work with. Let's draw the last card here. Okay, great. So we got a 6. Let's resolve that 6. Great. So now we've got 3 kings. So we've got 3 of a kind. This is fantastic as a demonstration because it really applies the same way. You're just drawing a card onto each of the kings. Now, here is a note as you're drawing cards. You can't make any other any moves until you've drawn onto all of the cards. So, for example, like this, we're going to draw onto these kings. So when I draw this card, I can't do anything until I've drawn onto those cards. Just as a clarification, because you know sometimes. Especially with me when I'm playing games, I'll try and make illegal moves in a game but not understand why I did that, because it seems like it's something I could do in terms of kind of the rules, right? So that, I just want to clarify that. So okay, so 7 just came down, so I just want to make sure I'm on track. Okay, good, so yeah, because I could get lost. So, okay, so drew the 7, okay, great, so that I've resolved that 3 of a kind. So now I can work with the rest of the cards to make other pairs. So that gave us 2 5s to work with. And let's see, yeah, so that's about all we have. Sometimes you can see patterns in the cards. Often you'll see when cards are in sequence, like a straight, like in poker, that you don't often get pairs. That's just something I've personally noticed. I don't know how truthful that is. You know, I've only been playing this game for, you know, a certain period of time, but that's just one thing I've come to notice. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 7, 8, 9, yeah. Okay, so let's resolve these 5s. Keep going with it. So now we've got 8s and 4s. I'm just gonna have some water. Yes, hydration. Okay, 8 4s, 7 9s. So we have a choice. This allows it. We can choose either to play onto. There's no rule that says you have to choose one pair over the other, but there's a strategy to it. If you've seen 4s come up already or 8s come up, then you know that there's no possibility of having those cards come up. So if I was to draw into the 4s, I could get more 8s, but I can't. I've been keeping track of the cards, so I don't know which is the better option. But if you've been paying attention with your performance of this spread, then that's the intuition that guides these cards as they fall. You've asked the question, and you get to interact by chance through these cards to place them in the spots that they just end up needing to be. So in terms of fortune telling, there's I feel like there's more personal intuition that goes into these cards as we use the beat the devil rules to lay out these cards. So instead of just drawing your cards out, this way we're actually manipulating how these cards land. So we're sort of in control, but there's still a high degree of chance involved. That's how the game works. So that's a kind of a cool thing. And so when we're at this sort of crossroad, we'll say, that we have a choice. We can go this way or that way. And I think that's a benefit of using the beat the devil rules like this in a playing card spread setting. So I feel like we should resolve the 4s. Oh, look at that. So that gave us 3 9s. So see exactly how that worked, right? You saw in real time the result of that. So we got 3 9s. Let's resolve those because I don't think we're going to get any other 9s. So, oh, look at that. So now we've got 2 7s, 2 8s, and 3 queens. So we're doing pretty well. We actually may end up beating the devil. We've got one pile still open if we're in trouble. So I feel like we should play on the queens. Ha! Look at that. 3 7s. We still got 2 8s. So we're doing really well. Let's play off the 3 7s. There you go, see? Whoa, hold on. I got cocky there. 7. 7. 7. There you go. Gotta be careful. I'm glad I was able to demonstrate that for you. So 7, ace, 7, okay. Take your time with this. All right, so there we go. Now we've got 2 aces, 2 8s, and then that last 7 came out the way it was. So yeah, we'd never get that quartet of 7. So you see how that works already. Okay, great. So what do we do? Let's cover the 8s. Let's do that. And so that gives us the 2 2s and the aces. Here's a tip. The ace of spades is it's basically the death card. It's the negative card of the whole playing card deck, and much of the spade suit has negative meaning. So for me right now, I've got a choice to cover the aces or the 2s. I want to cover the ace of spades, not because I want to avoid negative cards, but I want to show you the level of control you pose as the reader in this spread. You kind of get to manipulate things a little bit. So let's do that. Let's get rid of that ace of spades because it's negative. So now we've got 2 positive cards actually, which is great. So now we're getting close to the end of the deck. We still got 1 card left, but I think we're going to be doing okay here. So I've got 2 6s, 2 2s, and that's it. So let's cover the 6s. I got 2 8s. Eights have their meaning is variable. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna cover the threes. Ooh, I want to leave the tens because the 10 of hearts is really good. The 10 of hearts is kind of like the 10 of cups. That's one clear similarity that the playing cards have with tarot. So I kind of want to leave that. I want to cover the two. Ah, good. This is kind of nice. I'm gonna cover the jacks. The jacks and the playing cards sort of relate to an inexperienced person, playful, envious, that sort of thing. So I kind of know that ahead of time. So I want to maybe resolve those jacks and avoid them in a way. And so now I'm at a situation where I've got 3 cards left, basically, and now I've got my 2 tens. So I'm now put in a situation where I have to cover these tens, and then I have to lay the last card here to complete the spread. So you can get put into a situation where, okay, so yeah, you may want to save certain cards, but sometimes there's no way around it. Sometimes you got to cover them with what's left in your hand. So here it is. So 2, 4, 5, 7. So yeah, so the tens are the only one that's left. So let's cover them. So now I've got 2 5s. This is the last card I have. To finish off the spread, I'm not going to play it onto the 5s or the 4s. I have to play it into the final pile to complete the spread. So there you go. Ooh, 2 of hearts. That's a good one. New partnerships and emotional connection, creating a happy balance. So that's pretty cool. But as you can see, I wouldn't have been able to put it onto those pairs. I have to complete the triangle. And so when you're doing this, you just have to just really take a mental note of how many cards you have left and what pairs are available. All you have to do is cover up as many pairs as you can while leaving the amount of cards you have left to complete the triangle. You'll be presented with different situations each time, most likely, but just use your intuition. There's no wrong way to do it. If you have to half cover a pair, that's fine too. Like if I only had 2 cards and I had to cover only one of the tens, well then that's a neat situation, right? You have to cover only one of the tens. Maybe I would have covered the 10 of diamonds, as you know. So you have those choices that are put to you as the reader when you have this level of control. So at the very end, all you're doing is taking stock of what moves you can make, how many cards you have left, keeping in mind to place the cards to complete the triangle, and then putting the remaining cards into play to fill out the whole triangle. So here we are. We've asked, show me what it takes to give a good reading. So let's just quickly reiterate the columns of the triangle and what each of them means, and then we'll do our interpretation of all the cards. Let me just try and organize them a little bit better for you so you can see them on screen. Let's see, can I? This is kind of challenging. But when you're close like me to the cards, it's easy to see. It's just I'm trying to make sure you can see it as the viewer watching this. Okay, so that's pretty good. This is the 2 hearts, but yeah, so. All right, so here we go. So the first column is understanding the problem. So this represents the person asking the question, me. It defines what it is you're attempting to understand. So this is column 1. That's how you would work with it. And the second column is devising a plan. What steps are required to move forward to the solution? So this is the first step in expanding from this card, so into 2 cards. The third column here is carrying out the plan. What is needed to help you execute these steps? So again, it's a further expansion from devising a plan. You're going to carry out the plan. And then finally, we're ended up with looking back. So what is the result of having executed all of these steps, and where does it leave you now? So the 4th level is provides you with a final answer and a complete expansion on what you're originally trying to ask. So let's get into the meaning of the cards. I've got my cheat sheet here, like I said, off screen, and again, you can follow along with me if you've got, you can pull up the article and have that alongside the video and in multiple screens if you were wanted to do it that way. And then you can pause it. You can do the reading yourself too. You can do a reading for yourself first and then see how my reading is to yours. So you can have that experience if you wanted it. So the Four of Spades. So we start off with the Four of Spades, resolving a crisis, financial anguish, or reward through struggle. So I've put in you know three variations of phrases in words, and this is very interesting. So resolving a crisis. So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to resolve a situation. I'm trying to show you, the viewer, how to perform this reading. So this is very interesting. This is resonating very well already with the Four of Spades, resolving a crisis. Sort of a negative card, but in the context of what we're asking, that's kind of good. You know, this is actually falling in line with what we're trying to do. And the fact that we beat the devil gives us an even further positive meaning overlaid on all the other cards too. So we can then interpret that at the very end and see how that works. So now the next step, I'll just have these in front of me actually, just so that they're easier to access. So devising a plan. So two of Spades, hard choice, warning of a departure or an examination. So again, this is connecting very well. You know, we're carrying out a plan. We're doing an examination. This is really what this video is all about. We're examining the way of doing the playing card spread. Basically, that's really what this video is about. It is an examination. Warning of a departure or an examination. Warning of departure. So you know, we could look at that and think, you know, yeah, this will allow us to depart into new variations, new studies. I want to keep studying the Beat the Devil game and all of its implications for divinity, as well as games as well too. So there will definitely be some level of departure from this playing card spread, because once I'm done with this playing card spread, I'm going to move on and try to expand it. So I'll be changing it and working further with it. So that's a nice... that resonates well, even though it does mean something somewhat negative. To me, it has almost a positive meaning within the context of the question I'm asking. And the fact that we beat the devil too, right? So you can use that piece of information on almost every step of the way as you perform your reading for yourself. And so now we've got the Queen of Diamonds. The diamonds represent, you know, the pentacles, if we talk about the relationship to tarot, right? So spades are the swords, clubs are the wands, pentacles are the, diamonds are the pentacles, hearts are the cups. So, you know, there's still a very clear relationship between the tarot suits and the playing card suits. So, and a lot of that falls in line with a lot of the meanings of these cards as well too. So, Queen of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds is a very charismatic woman, a rich woman entering my life, possibly. So each of these cards represents a person in your life potentially, or giving you some warning of people entering your life. So the Queen represents a woman, a female entering my life or interacting with me in some way. Kings represent a man, and the Jack can be either or. In this case, the Jack is a male figure in the playing cards. But when you consider the tarot tradition, you have prince and princess as a part of that word use. So in this case, the Jack does mean a male figure, but it could also mean just a young, inexperienced person. But we don't have any jacks in play here, but that's just sort of a side note to allow you to interpret these face cards. So face cards mean people in your life, basically, is the short explanation. So when you see jacks, they would typically mean a young man, But they could also mean a young woman too. So you can use it with your own intuition, essentially. So you could just classify that as a young person. But read it whichever way you think is appropriate, and it may be appropriate to read the jacks in this context to be a young man or a young male figure, if it applies, and it could also mean a young woman. As well too. So use that for what it's worth, and change it to suit your fortune telling requirements. So you just have to make it fit for how it is. So the Queen, a charismatic woman. So that's interesting. So I've got a hard choice, but there's also a charismatic woman entering my life, possibly. So that's interesting. Who could that be? Someone who is rich, has lots of money. Will I be contacted by a woman figure because of this? As a result, maybe that's what's the cards are saying. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so where are we at now? So carrying out the plan. So devising the plan. So two of spades, hard choice. For me to devise a plan, I may need to consult with a charismatic woman, maybe in the tarot community or through a relationship on some social media platform. Maybe that's the next step for me in developing this as a reading method, as reaching out to a rich woman, or maybe they're just going to enter my life through chance. That's a possibility, right? So that's very interesting. So let's move on to the carrying out the plan. So what's needed to execute these steps? So I've got the four of clubs. Four of clubs is a draining entourage, unchecked compliance, or dishonesty abound. So the way I see that card, like a draining entourage. So that can mean that the people around you are draining you. And that connects to like unchecking your compliance. You know, you're compliant. You're in the group. You're letting the group drain you, and usually there's dishonesty within that. So I think in this case, I'm not sure really how to. So carrying out the plan, I could read that as I could take that as a warning to as I carry out the plan to avoid an entourage that wouldn't serve my needs or would drain me. But what is the 9? Let's see what the other cards have to say. So I've got the 9 of spades. That's not that's somewhat of a negative card. It means restlessness, left behind, misfortune. So the 9 of spades somewhat aligns with the 9 of swords in the tarot tradition there. So okay, so yeah, draining entourage that is making me restless. I'm feeling left behind. So maybe I can read that as maybe that's actually positive, that I would want to leave behind a restless entourage or a group of people that isn't serving its purpose for me. It's draining me. But what does the 5 of hearts say? The 5 of hearts is an emotional crossroads. Jealousy in close company, potential disturbances. So maybe there is within my network of people, there's jealousy in there. Maybe someone who's following me on social media, maybe they're jealous, possibly. Maybe it's the woman who's come into my life, the Queen of Diamonds. Maybe they've entered my life due to jealousy, possibly. Maybe that's how it's expanding, because there's a 5 over here. Maybe there's a relationship with that as it expands and gives us our looking back, right? The results of let's keep going. So now we're at the 4th column, looking back. What is the result of having executed each of these steps? Where does it leave me now? So this is my final answer. So 5 of diamonds. So here's an interesting thing. The 5 of diamonds, the 5 of pentacles in tarot, is actually negative. It means like poverty. But in the context of the playing cards, 5 of diamonds is new enterprise, financial development, realize of success. So it's like halfway to 10. So that's one of the differences of the playing cards versus tarot. So this is interesting. This is that means actually something very positive. So new enterprise. So, you know, maybe I'm leaving my current network, or maybe I'm expanding my audience to create that new enterprise. So what does the King of Clubs have to say for that? The King of Clubs, an experienced man, a generous man, someone of high spirits. So it's quite possible that a experienced, generous man enters my life as well, just like the Queen of Diamonds did. Possibly in my attempt to leave my draining entourage, leaving them behind, because I'm at my emotional crossroads. You know, we've got this, like I said, the connection here to build up to our final answer. So 7 of Spades, let's get into that. So hindrance to achievement, change of perspective, imagined loss. So that's interesting. So maybe that's connecting with these cards here. You know, something's been holding me back, so I want to change my perspective. I've got some sort of negative perspective that's I'm thinking of I've lost something, or I'm not doing as well as I could. And then, you know, the Two of Hearts. So this is, I love the Two of Hearts. It's such a good card because it means kind of what you think it means. New partnerships, emotional connection, happy balance. Pretty much falling in line with the Two of Cups, like in tarot. It's, you know, it represents almost literally what two hearts would mean, a new partnership. So this is pretty interesting. You know, we've got the Five of Diamonds saying that there is a new enterprise awaiting me. A generous, experienced man will enter my life in some way, mostly to help me overcome my hindrance to achievement, something that's been holding me back, give me that change of perspective to create this new partnership. But it's interesting, I've got the Queen on this side. So the Queen was Queen of Diamonds introduced kind of early, and then I've got another person coming into my life. So I've got a woman entering, and then a man entering somewhere down the line here. So that's very interesting. So here's another perspective to have as you look at these cards. Use the symmetry and geometry of this triangle to make new connections, right? So there's diagonals and there's rows and columns. So we've got 4, Queen, 5, 2 here. Maybe there's something within that we can further unpack. So 4 of Spades, resolving a crisis. So I've got the Queen helping me resolve a crisis that's going to help me devise a plan. And I'm going to carry out the plan, but go through an emotional, I'll go through an emotional crossroads and a disturbance to do that, to end up at my new partnership. So that's a very nice arc of storytelling right there in terms of uncovering your fortune, right? So I've got a crisis, someone comes in to help me, I go through a little bit of a crisis, and I end up with a new partnership. So that's one way you could read the cards that way, and then these cards within the triangle are sort of the meta steps, right? The intricacies of this triangle that shows you the full path. But you also have these other relationships too, Queen, 9, King. You know, what's there to look at. When you have negative cards, you know, say like the 9 of Spades, restlessness, left behind. So, you know, what's next to it, what's close to it, to help resolve that negative meaning, right? So restlessness, I've got the Queen next to it here. So the Queen is coming in, helping me overcome this restlessness. You know, you can take the Queen whether it's positive or not. It may have even a negative connotation in other circumstances. Maybe a charismatic woman or a rich person entering your life is not welcome in certain circumstances. But it seems like in this reading, it does have a positive meaning, and the King in this case also has a positive meaning too. An experienced man is going to help develop the new partnership. And so we've got this row here making a nice answer to what the 9 means, and so we can do that with the 7. 7 of spades. So the king is here. So maybe the diagonal is this connection of negativity, right? So 2 of spades, hard choice, restlessness, hindrance to achievement, a change in perspective, some sort of preconceived loss, right? So you've got these arcs of negativity, but then you've got somewhat positivity here too. So the 4 of clubs is a draining entourage, but the king comes in to help you. Maybe it's a mentor. This could be a mentor figure that helps you kind of get away from that crowd or network or group of people that is not serving you, draining you. And then, you know, our 5 here, the 5 of diamonds is that sort of explanation of, you know, the connection, this kind of square connection. So as you're reading the cards, use these types of patterns to generate new meanings, resolve these negative cards through the cards next to it that have positive meanings, and work that way. And then work an opposite. Look at the positive cards and see where the negativity lies. You can go in whichever direction you want. So this seems pretty decent. Show me what it takes to give a good reading, and I think we did that quite well here, and we've actually uncovered maybe a few people who I may end up with a connection with, a charismatic woman that's rich, and then a man who's experienced, maybe a mentor that comes in and creates a new partnership, you know, collaboration in the digital world. That's kind of where you want to end up, you know, when you work online like this, collaborating with other people, generating a network. Your network is your net worth, they say. I don't know who came up with that, you know, but a lot of people, business people say that a lot. Electronic business people, I guess they are now, because we're seeing them more commonly on these digital platforms, talking and making content that way. So there it is. That's a pretty good reading. Let's do the opposite. Let's close the Devil's Triangle and see what we can find from that. Because we've got about 30 minutes or so left, so we should have enough time to do another reading. So I've got this deck here pre-shuffled in the opposite color. I think that's kind of cool. Let's just do another quick shuffle. So maybe let's ask, how will I find these new relationships? So let's ask that. Let's close the Devil's Triangle and see if we can hone in on how will I find these new relationships? You know, what sort of things am I going to have to do? What's going to be the one thing that I need to do to make that change? Because it's great. We've already expanded on that idea. We sort of know the arc of what could happen. The network I have of people right now may need to change, possibly. I don't know. That's kind of a startling thing to have to deal with. But you know what? Change is inevitable. You know, you're going to meet a lot of people throughout your life, and that's a good thing. Is, you know, meeting new people. You know, people change and grow and move away from each other. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad thing. Sorry, I guess I'm just giving personal advice as I internalize what we just went through. Oops. Okay. I'll shuffle this once more. I don't know why I'm shuffling this a lot more. I guess I was just biding time, I guess, because these cards were already pre-shuffled. So these are super shuffled, so they're definitely in random order, that's for sure. I saw a Jack, but whatever. I'm still in control, right? Because we're doing the Beat the Devil. Oh, I have some control, I guess. So how will I find these new relationships? So I'm not going to explain too much about the spread. You already know how that works. I'll try and get these Hopefully you can see that on camera. There you go. 7. I'll move this 4 down a bit. I've got these wizard cards. You may remember those, marking spaces where I can lay them out. So I'm laying them out like this. Okay, so I got, yeah, no matches. 8, ace, 7, 4. This is a bad sign. Oh, there's a 3, 4, 6, queen, 7, 8. Oh. Okay, good. You can still see it on camera there. Great. Okay. 2, 5. Oh, 7. Yeah, there we go. Can't move until you deal with all these pairs. 10s. Oh, this is good. 5. 2. Oh, I don't know. 2s are good. Aces are nice. You know, they're very similar to the aces of tarot, except the ace of spades means misfortune, end of cycle. It's the death card, basically. Yeah, ace of spades, right? Yeah. Okay, well let's cover the 2s. Cover the kings. Let's see, 8s. I guess we'll have to cover the aces. Maybe I'll leave the jacks. Maybe see how they work. Yeah, 5s, 9s. 10s. Oh, we got 3 jacks now, I guess. So yeah, so let's cover all the jacks. So it looks like we're probably not going to get jacks in our ending fortune. That's okay. So I mean, the Jack of Hearts is, you know, an innocent and sweet young man, like an admirer, naive and impetuous. You know, inexperienced. Jack of Diamonds is an envious young man who brings news. Somewhat deceptive person potentially. Clubs, playful young man, and admirer as well. Reliable but also experienced. So a little bit better than the other jacks, but the Jack of Spades is more of an aggressive, toxic individual with rebellious behavior. So again, you know, they can mean a lot of different things in different contexts. So there you have it. You know, but again, like I said, to deal with variations of male and female, you could consider the Jack. You know, either a young male or female. There'd be, you know, you could do that if you wanted to change things a bit. But the Jack visually is a male figure, you know, with the mustache and all that too. So okay, so where are we at? We've got 2 kings. Okay, I guess we'll cover the kings. There's our Jack of Hearts. Got 9s. Let's cover the 4s. Let's see, we got 3, 2, 7. We gotta cover the 2s here. 3s. Okay, so now I'm left with 3 cards. So I have to then use these 3 cards to finish up the spread here. So I've got 1, 2 spots left. So what I'm gonna do is, because I've got some choices here. I've got 8s and queens. Because the Queen of Spades is a bossy, malicious woman, a separated woman, also a woman of power. So I think I want to resolve that, because I've got 2 spaces here to fill, and I've got 3 cards. So I think I'm going to do that, because I could work with the 8s, but I think the Queen would be appropriate, because I could choose to cover either, but I could only cover one of these cards to finalize this spread. So I could choose to cover the Queen of Diamonds, but I like the Queen of Diamonds. We already saw the Queen of Diamonds in the previous spread, so it's nice to see that she is being carried over into the next reading. So let's get rid of the Queen of Spades and finish off the spread like so. Okay, so here we are. Ooh, the Ace of Spades. That is, there we go. Well, I guess this is what we're asking for. How we find these new relationships. Testing me to give you guys a good reading here. So, okay, so we got eight of Diamonds. New opportunity through craftsmanship. A work announcement, basically. You know, craftsmanship, work. Either at a job or maybe your side hustle, that sort of thing. So this is telling me that I have opportunity through hard work, basically. And so that that's the connection to the Queen of Diamonds. That's how I'll encounter the Queen of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds is through my hard work. I encountered this individual, and above that we have the Jack of Hearts. So the Jack of Hearts, an innocent, sweet young man, naive and impetuous, somewhat willing to change their mind and all that. Let me just look up impetuous to double check to see if there's more meaning behind that word. It's good to have a dictionary at hand, because sometimes your first instinct of what that word means can be changed as you look at other phrases on how a word is. Impetuous. So acting or done quickly with little or no adequate thought, having or marked of violent force, having characterized by great impetus, rushing with force. So there we go. You know, a little bit more meaning on impetuous. So my first instinct was someone inexperienced and willing to change their mind. But you know, as you probably take a dictionary off your shelf, you can then sort of get into it a little bit more deeper. Done quickly, possibly. So there's some sort of quickness involved with the Jack of Hearts. Rash action. So there you go. And I guess that's another reason too. We'll talk about just the meaning of words. Using a word like that allows you to unpack other words too. So as you go through this list, you can look at each word and look up its meaning and maybe get more out of it too. So that's something that I want to embed into this list of meanings too. Not to be intellectual, but sort of on purpose give you a word that can be deconstructed and broken down into other words, because maybe that word doesn't initially fit, or maybe there's a better word for it. But I also didn't want to cloud this list of too many words as well too, because that could be unwieldy in some cases. So using your intuition, and just like I did for you right here, right now, my intuition said, oh, maybe I should look up the meaning, and so I was guided by my intuition to look that up for you here on camera. So here we are. Let's see our time. We've got about 15 minutes left, so we're just about done with this. So the Jack, for me, I'm going to read that as a young man. That I think would be appropriate for me at this time, because this Jack here has a mustache as well too. So that's something that you could, if you're deciding to manipulate the Jack in your own way. There's Jacks with mustaches and Jacks without mustaches, right? So maybe that could be something to use in the future if you're wanting to change the cards a bit for yourself. So I'll treat that as a young man, someone young making rash decisions. So maybe that's connected to the Queen. Maybe it's their friend, brother, maybe the brother and sister. That could be something, or the younger brother of the charismatic woman. The Six of Spades, development, perseverance, creating limits. So I've maybe want to develop myself and create a limitation, because now I know about this young young person, they're rash and they're naive, and maybe I want to create boundaries to avoid problems with that, because the Jack is next to the to the Ace of Spades, so very clear warning of misfortune, an end of a cycle. So maybe this is telling me there's a definite warning there, I feel. And so the Eight of Clubs, what do you have here? In our part of devising a plan, carrying out the plan. So we were at looking back, knowing the result of, you know, what's happening, how we're going to carry out the plan. So Eight of Clubs, contemplation, unfavorable conditions. So that's kind of a toss-up there with those meanings. I think contemplation maybe works a little bit better in this. And this was challenging too for me to decide which meanings are appropriate, because unfavorable conditions can make you contemplate too. So, you know, I think having those two will work. But also know too that this list could change. I may update it in the future. So this is sort of like the beta test, I guess you could say, or the alpha test, or no, I guess it would be beta. So yeah, we're running our test for the first time. So I think contemplation works for that. And then that gives us the Six of Diamonds, disengagement, setting boundaries. So that maybe that's starting to make sense with these cards here. I want to be setting boundaries. I want to create limitations so that I don't run into problems. Ace of Spades, misfortune. As I'm working to how will I find these new relationships. So I need to set boundaries by the looks of it. That's what these cards are telling me. Then I've got my two sevens. So Seven of Clubs, unexpected loss. So I may have a sudden change, or I may be wasting my resources. Seven of Diamonds is progress through adversity, and good investment choice. So it seems like it's inevitable that I have to waste my resource, maybe time. I have to waste my time, go through this sequence to have a good investment choice. You sort of just have to experience things to know what's right or wrong in the end anyways. There's no real way to know if an investment is a good investment or not. So maybe what I'm doing to invest in these new relationships, I just have to go through this sequence, go through the challenges that are presented to me. And then the Ace of Clubs. This is a good one. This is startling wealth, knowledge, or new prosperity. So this is a good one. It means somewhat similar to the other aces. Ace of Diamonds is future news, new beginnings, advantages, or material opportunities. This is a little bit different. This kind of relates to more startling, surprising wealth or knowledge, and sort of unexpected prosperity. The Ace of Hearts means understanding your desire, newfound happiness, so it's more of an emotional attainment is kind of more appropriate for that. So this is good, Ace of Spades. So I now have a positive meaning that gives me some resolution at the end of this spread. And I beat the devil as well too. So I beat the devil 2 times. So this whole has a positive meaning for us here. So I've got a nice diamond connection here. So this is interesting. The Queen of Diamonds, you know, our Six of Diamonds is helping me. Maybe the Queen of Diamonds is going to help me disengage and create boundaries so that I can get to this good investment choice. It helps me progress through this adversity. Maybe the spread isn't literally, it's not showing me a literal happening. Maybe these are the things that I can avoid if I follow through properly to get to here. I can just jump over these challenges, right? So the Eight of Clubs, I can just use the contemplative force and just hop over and just not deal with the unexpected loss of finances if I play my cards right. That could be a way to read that too. So, you know, you use these sort of methods I'm using and showing you here right now to read these cards. You know, look at the how they're placed, their geometrical sequence. Look for symmetries. And you know, look for patterns. So right now we've got more diamonds than any other suit. We've got 3 clubs, 4 diamonds, two spades. We didn't do this with the last one, but you know, we'll do it with this one. So the overarching feeling of this is more resource related, right? Because if you look at what the pentacles mean, they mean the same thing for diamonds, right? So earthly energies, the earth element, money, resources. So this is a really good reading, I think. I'm actually quite excited. So how will I find these new relationships? I'm going to end up making boundaries, maybe avoiding somebody who is naive, basically, someone that could potentially cause harm. If I avoid those types of people, I will end up with my basically startling wealth or new prosperity. So there you have it. That's pretty cool. And our 6 of clubs is all the way up here. That has 6 of spades. That means kind of development, and perseverance. So it's kind of saying on top of everything to just persevere and keep going. And it does have that that diagonal connection, right? So the new wealth is coming from the development, and then there will be some challenges by the looks of it. I think that those challenges may be unavoidable if we look at the diagonal connection, but I think the diamonds are really saying that there's going to be progress to a new prosperity, which is great. I think that's a fantastic reading. I'm happy with that myself, because I was reading almost for myself for you. But I wonder what your take on this is. Maybe you could ask a different question for yourself and get a different reading from these cards. Just using these cards, maybe you had asked a different question. Before this all started. And so you can use the cards that I'm using to answer my question, but you could also use these same cards, to answer a different question. That could be interesting. I never thought of that happening in a video, but it is a possibility. This is all recorded, right? So once it's recorded, you could stop, pause it, and go back and forth. You could pause the video, made an intention for yourself, ask a different question from my question, and then use my same cards to develop a different answer for yourself. So yeah, those are, I don't know, those are interesting things. But I think we came up with a good set of reading, 2 readings here, and we went through and covered a lot of the meaning of the cards, how to use them with the rules derived from George Poya's How to Solve It from 1945. Really, we just superimposed his 4 steps of tackling a problem, right? Understanding the problem, devising a plan, carrying out the plan, and looking back. And so that's where we have our closing the devil's triangle, right? Looking back, starting with a broader look at the problem, carrying out the plan. How am I going to execute these steps to simplify what I'm doing? Devising a plan. What's required to move to the final solution? My final solution that represents my new prosperity, like the new knowledge. So this maybe could be immediate too. Maybe having done this spread, that's what I'm ending up with, and maybe these are just trivial things that are part of the reading that I've already gone through with you on camera. So it's hard to determine time. There's no concept of time when you deal with fortune telling, which is kind of an interesting thing. How could you incorporate time into this? That's maybe I'll throw that question out there. I'll write that down too. Time. Because time is, there's no concept of it in these cards. So yeah, there we go. I'll gather up these cards here and we'll say our goodbyes. We're almost done. I got a few more minutes on the camera. I've got about 7 minutes left. No, sorry, 5 minutes. Whoa, I lost the hairband there. That's okay. But yeah, there it is. All the links will be available for you in the description below, and again, to be transparent with my affiliations, all the Amazon links for these products will be available for you. You can get the Maverick cards if you want through Amazon, through large bulk packs. I recommend that you get multiple sets of cards. Having just one deck of cards can be time consuming as you shuffle the deck over and over. Have multiple decks pre-shuffled to make your playing card reading experience more streamlined, right? Just shuffle up a bunch of cards and just play with them. And I did that in another video with Beat the Devil, where I had 7 pre-shuffled decks and I just played it out. It would have taken a lot longer to play that same game and shuffle the same deck over and over. So yeah, look into getting multiple decks of cards. You know, it may seem like, well, why would you want more than one of the same deck? Well, you know, like I just said, you know, pre-shuffle those decks and just keep using them over and just use a new pre-shuffled deck. So you'll be able to check that out. The Maverick cards will be there. And you know, think about your playing space, right? Underneath, this is just a wooden table, but the texture of the table is kind of, the cards would glide a bit. The cards are not see, they're stuck, right? It's very nice, you know, they kind of stay put, whereas the cards, especially new cards, they're very glossy. They slide a little bit. You can't see that off camera, but they can slide and move around, especially bicycle cards. New bicycle cards are fairly slippery, and they fan out easy. That's why they fan, and they're very useful in that way. Maverick cards are a little bit different. They're a little bit more plasticky. The surface is more uniform. So it's interesting to experience different playing cards and see what their texture is, how they feel. Yeah, definitely look into finding a cloth or something that fits your needs. I've chosen just shelf lining just out of a pure necessity. There may be other options for you in the future. Maybe you found something that works better for you, maybe like a special type of cloth. But for now, I'm using the shelf liner, which you know you could pick up on Amazon too, if you wanted to. And then what else would be there in the? I have the book, the old style Conjure. You can look at reading that book. It's very interesting. It's got a lot of other topics dealing with folk magic, but again, like I said, there's the playing cards that are in there as a passage, and I thought that was very interesting. And then there'll be links to the articles, so you can go read. You'll be able to get the list of the meaning of the playing cards just as a written article there, and then you'll have a written explanation of the rules for this game as well. And then the videos will be embedded in them, so you'll be able to watch the videos again in multiple places. So it's all nicely connected. Yeah, and so subscribe to the channel because I said so, because we're going to have some new content coming out. Lots of new things happening in the new year. More research, more work with Beat the Devil, playing cards, and all of that. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff, so subscribe for that, and make sure you get the notifications set up, because the schedule may be infrequent, so there's no set schedule, but you want to know when it happens. And then you can also sign up to a mailing list I have on the website too. Go to my website and you can sign up through a mailing list there as well too. That would be also helpful for you to keep track of all this, and then you can add me on all the socials. You can go find me on all the other platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can see what's happening there. Alright, well that's all we have. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you out there.